Now, if you guys been watching me for a while, you guys know I do this series. I think I made several of these videos where I do how I got to the gear score that I currently have, which is 6.3K. How I got to it as a free-to-play player. If you guys been watching me, you guys know I haven't spent any money on the game, and I've never played with an alt on my character. So everything that I earned and gotten is through playing one character only. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how you guys can get high gear score. I think by doing what I'm going to tell you in this video, you guys should easily get above 6K. You don't have to hit 6.3K because I'm more of a no life than most of the players, but it should help you get higher gear score. And not only that, I'm going to be telling you guys what I prioritize and also how much time I spend weekly on my tasks. So let's just jump into it. So before we start, we gotta take a look at my gear score, and you guys can see here we have 6.3K. Yes, 6.3K. And now I need to tell you guys before it goes crazy, 6.3K or whatever your gear score is, it does not mean how strong you are. It all depends on your build and your gear, but your gear score is a nice way to know like where you are, like power levels wise, right? Now the main thing that people I'm going to tell everybody is to get high gear score, you of course need T2 gear, and T2 gear should be very easy to get, especially because of the goblin event, but prices are extremely cheap on the trading house. So getting T2 gear and getting fully traded gear right now is very cheap. If you look at, for example, Vanguard stuff, which is one of the most sought out items, you can see like the trades are really cheap too, depending on what you're building. So getting full T2 gear and T2 trades should be like the main priority to get your gear score. But once you have that, next thing, which is also pretty obvious, is you should have level 5 skills. If you don't have level 5 skills, I know what you're doing. The game gives you a bunch of skill books. There's NPCs that you can go to get more skill books and stuff, and the game just rewards you a bunch of books in the Ornate coin shop too. So let's get that away. Next up is the very also simple thing that you should have is artifacts, blue artifacts, rare artifacts. They don't need to be 3-star. I have a 3-star here, but you can see I have no star, 1-star, 2-star, 1-star, etc. Right? But get blue artifacts. I have like 400 blue artifacts because the artifact system is horrible, so I'm not opening these. But if you don't have blue artifacts, go farm Nebula. It's very easy to get, so get that done. When it comes to your rune level, I know rune level is controversial, but even if you didn't exploit or you exploited, I do expect you to have around level 70 or close to 70 rune levels. Because the game did give like free chests away for the people that didn't do it, and you can, if you didn't exploit, you can also get extra runes by doing your dimensional trial party ranking, right? So I do expect everybody to have a little bit of a 70 by now, or around 70 at least. If you don't have it, don't worry, I will explain. Next up is your mastery level. Now mastery level, what you should have is 130 on each of your weapons, so you guys can get double these done. And mastery gives you a bunch of gear score, so you should focus on getting mastery up, but at least minimum 130 mastery level, which should be fairly easy. I'm going to explain to you guys soon how, but 130 is what you should definitely aim for. And then trait resonance, the newest thing. Now with the trait resonance, some of you probably have like 1 or 2 pieces. I have almost all of my pieces trait resonance except 2, which are my rings currently. Now if you are doing it, a way to save a lot of resonance stones is go for the chance on some of the items, like gear pieces especially. It's easier to roll an endurance or evasion piece, but it will save you a bunch of stones. Now that is basically the main thing that can give you gear score in the game. But now let's talk about what you should prioritize and what I prioritize. Now you can see I am very lazy usually. If you look at all of my videos, you will see like all of my stuff is maxed. The only reason I have depleted some of this stuff is I'm going to explain later in the video why I've done this. But there's a lot of stuff to do weekly. Now, I'm going to tell you guys my main priority and what you guys' main priority should be. Number one priority that I want people to do is your weekly missions. This is insane. You get 150 runes, epic runes, every single week by doing this, which is insane. You also get a bunch of adventure coin loyalties, but mainly the runes is such a big increase in stats and gear score. So this should be your main mission, at least get to 450. It's not that difficult. It doesn't take too much time, but it should be your number one priority every week is get the 150 runes. And most of them are very simple to do and doesn't take much time. Next up is Nebula, but don't spend your 5 hours. I don't spend my 5 hours. You look at my lawless time. The only time I'm going to Nebula is to kill some Sin players. Aside from that, you will see I have like 4 hours and 40 minutes inside Nebula. Like, I have so much time in Nebula. I never spend 5 hours in there anymore. I don't. The only main priority that you should have inside Nebula, and why you should do it, is to buy out these chests now, because these will help you with your trade resonance, and it is guaranteed gear pieces, right? So you definitely should be doing it to get these. And if you can, get this other chest, but the main priority is getting those 50 chests. It takes not much time, but it will gain you huge the resonance, possibly loosen, and also artifacts, right? So give you a bunch of gear scores. That should be your priority number 2. Third is abyssal contract tokens. Contract tokens is incredibly important. You don't go over 40,000, and when you have the battle pass like I have right now, you go down to the battle pass and you buy out, because it's about to end, so definitely do it now. But always buy out these right here, because tokens is the only like main limit you have to weapon mastery XP. Like let's talk about your gear, right? Your gear you will eventually get max, your runes you will eventually get max, but weapon mastery getting to 200 takes a lot of time, so you don't want to waste your token burn, right? So make sure every time you get close to 40k tokens, go to Crimson. Very easy to do, very simple to do, but it's going to be one of the main priority. You always want to make sure you do it, and when you do it, make sure you're using mastery report, abundance fruit, and if there's an event buff, use this, or just use the normal pie, right? But always do this, never let it go over 40k, and always stack up. You can see I have a bunch of these stacked up already that are ready to use, because it is you get insane amount of comp power, a lot of stats for just doing weapon mastery. So that should be your main prior number 3. Next up is kind of contracts. Like, contracts are really annoying to do, I know, for a lot of you, including me. No, don't get me wrong, I highly dislike contracts, but the reason I do contracts are 2 things, and that is buying out the enchanted ink and the traitor extraction stones. They're so important to do and get. Now you can do these contracts. It's not always fun, but you also have cooking contracts in Vienta Village and stuff that you can do so fast. Making sure you do your contracts is really good for you because of those things. In Korea, they have something called like a blessing buff that you can buy, and you can do contracts so fast, and I'm so mad that we don't have that. But contract is one of the most annoying things to do, but it is important because of the extraction stones, because it will make you get a bunch of lucent and extraction and all that good stuff, so you can actually trade your gear and all the other stuff. That's prior number 4. And then prior number 5 is solo dungeon. Yes, I know a lot of maybe people don't enjoy doing solo dungeon. I usually don't expert mode. If you can do it on less mode, is good, because it gives a bunch of runes, guys. Rune levels, again, back to the same as earlier. Rune levels are super important, and if you can do expert tier, really good. If you can't, do hard tier. But not only do you get a bunch of runes from this, but it also goes towards your Hall of Illusion right here, so you can finish your weekly missions. But solo dungeon, it just gives a bunch of runes. Like, it's insane. I level up so many runes every time I do it. So make sure you guys do it 3 times a week. It's not that hard. And then last prio, I know it's on my last prio, but last prio I would do everything else. Once you have done all of this prio list, then you should prioritize doing your dungeons, T1 dungeons, T2 dungeons, doing arena, because they can also give runes if you're high enough combat power. Sorry, not combat power, high enough ranking. And then you can do like Isle of Terraform for a polished crystal if you need, Mystic Keys, events, all the other stuff I will put on the lowest priority. Now, what I have done to make sure that you guys understand how much time you spend inside the game every single week is I did all my dungeons. That's why you see that this is very low right now, because I did almost all my dungeons. I did all my token burn. I did Nebula farm, not in a party, not with any friends. I don't know if you can see my messages. Can I maybe find my messages up here? Maybe I can't. But if you will look, I was making random parties for absolutely everything. Here you go. You can see here Spid, B3 Crimson, 3 out of 6, dungeons, temple I was doing. So I did random matchmaking on absolutely everything. Found a random party, not with any friends, to see how much time I spent actually doing these dungeons. Now weekly, this is the weekly time that I spend inside the game on doing these prior lists that I told you guys about. Is I spend for the Nebula, I spend about 1 hour or 1.5 hours to get the 50 stones. Now, if you're slower, and this is with the random party too, I go to Nebula, I find a random party, PvP party, join them, and I farm, and sometimes we get PvP'd, all that stuff. But it takes an estimate 2 hours to do your Nebula and get the 50 coins. That's all. That's like on the max. It usually takes way shorter time, like 1 hour or even less. But let's put 2 hours for now. That's weekly. And then you have your token burn, which is this. When you go to Crimson Mansion, if you don't have contracts anywhere else, Crimson Mansion, you have a good team. You set it up a team with the LFG. You find a healer, tank, all that stuff. You can burn 40,000 tokens in 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And if you're slow, I used 45 minutes, but if you're slow, let's say about an hour is what you use on the token burn. So now we're on 3 hours a week. All right. So 3 hours a week. So we've done Nebula, we've done token burn, and then you have your dungeons. So if you're doing dungeons, right, your T1 and T2, you get about like 12K, I think, tokens every week. You get like 1.8 a day, and I spent. What I do is you can fast forward a little bit if you don't want the party matchmaking bonus, like if you're doing the party matchmaking, right, for these, you can get good rewards like the random matchmaking. You can get this, but if you don't want it, you just want to be quick and done with it, which I sometimes do, is I just queue ranked wood. Ranked would take like 6-7 minutes. So if you do this, all your dungeons every single week, if you're in a slow party, random party, which I wasn't, it takes about 1 to 2 hours. Let's do 2 hours, okay? Because let's take the worst. So 2 hours. Nebula, 2 hours, all your dungeons, that's 4, and then 1 hour of token burn. You're on 5 hours a week, and then you have your contracts. If you do cooking contracts, you're much faster, probably half an hour. If you do contracts every week, let's put that biggest time that I spend on contracts is 1 hour, and because I'm doing hard solo dungeon, it's also 1 hour. So and then with so usually I spend about 7 hours every week, so 1 hour every day, on everything that I actually need to do in the game. Everything else is just extra. Like bosses, it's just extra. Events is just extra. I don't have to do it. I don't usually do it even. I'm really lazy. I actually don't even do dungeons usually. So you can spend about like 7 hours, worst case, a week, in improving your gear score. And if you do this, you will get easily above 6K if you prioritize these things. So that is what I do. Of course, there's other things that you can do in the game or other things to prioritize in the game. But I think if you do this, or this worked for me, this is what I do, this is what I follow, and you should easily be able to get everything you need. You should be able to buy out the NPCs, the most important things that you need at the NPCs. But if you just prioritize this, it should give you a bunch of gear score and a bunch of levels. But yeah, that is my short guide on how to make sure that you can increase your gear score. So you guys can, I mean, gear score, again, like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's just a metric, but having high gear score will get you into guilds more often, into metric and other things. Of course, like playing well and stuff also helps, but gear score overall helps to get out of that noob zone, right? And again, like if you look at my gear, I don't have anything fancy on my gear. You can see this. I have very basic gear, nothing fancy. I think the most fancy thing I have is my necklace. Aside from that, it's also very cheap. Like there's nothing fancy, no arc bus, nothing crazy. So it's very obtainable for everybody else. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what your gear score is. Check out this video right here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.